I really don't have regrets. I am a person that says, as soon as you look back in your history and you come up with something that you feel like you want to change, something else has to change.
My competitive drive is far greater than anyone else that I've met. I think that I thrive on that. I think that's my biggest motivation in life, is to compete, find different competitions in certain things in life and try to overcome that, be it positive or negative. But I have yet to meet someone who is as competitive as me, and I just feel that much confident about my competitive drive.
Disappointment to me, to win, you got to lose. To be successful, you got to have something that's not successful. To be happy, you got to have disappointment. So I think all of those things have evolved and happened to make me who I am and understand the benefits and the privileges I have for being who I am, and not to wear it on my sleeve, be very humble about it. That's one thing my parents taught me very well is, don't wear your reputation, don't wear your accolades, don't wear your personality on your sleeve. Let it happen, let it be you. It is who you are. Don't hide from it, but don't wear it and rub it in people's faces. So, when you sit there and you say, well, in 1990 or 2005, they voted me as like the best or the most popular athlete, well, it's ironic that I'm the youngest of the three. So in essence, it's all relevated on who is watching now. If you ask 20 years from now, I'm pretty sure LeBron may beat me, based on who's going to be making the voting. So I say that to understand that, it is what it is. I don't wear it, I don't showcase it, I don't rub it in other people's faces, someone else's opinion. If you ask me, I can never give you an opinion about things like that, because as an athlete, all you want to do is be the best athlete you can be. There's a lot of conversations about what your game is capable of achieving. And I'm a firm believer that if you have a good game, your game is going to say that. You don't have to say it. So I guess it's trying to play down some of the trash talking, animosity that's in words and the whole promotional thing. Let your game be your promotion, your marketing tool. And that was our whole era, Our game gave the labels of what our basketball skills were. And then the marketing came back around that. Now it's changed. So I'm trying to revert back to where your game do all your talking instead of what we may say and what someone else may say about your game. The most important thing about making mistakes is being able to learn from them and not be able to duplicate the same mistake. So when I got the opportunity to be a part of the Washington Wizards at the time, Ted Leonsis brought me in as a part of his group. That's where I got my feet wet in terms of ownership. And it was intriguing enough. I didn't have the experience of ownership. I knew what it took, which was a lot of money, a lot of financial support. But the knowledge in terms of being able to transition from a basketball player who could impact a game and determine the outcome to where now you sit up in an office and have not the same control. You have to be able to live vicariously through the players that you select, which sometimes you're going to make mistakes. And with that mistakes, you got to be able to make adjustments. And that's what I learned in Washington. It's dots being connected. It's basketball, something that, when the shoes were at its peak, I played at a high level. And the consumer saw that, and it basically authenticated everything about that shoe. What we've been able to maintain is being able to communicate to the consumer from an ownership standpoint, their preference for that product. My strongest passion outside of the ownership of the Hornets is the Jordan brand. Because to me, I can impact that in a much greater sense. To be able to continually talk to that consumer, interact with that consumer. It's not a draft. It's not, it's not where I'm, dependent on how the season ends to determine if I have a draft pick in the first 12 or 13 picks. So if I had to pick of all the things that I'm involved in, the most important is the Jordan brand because it is my DNA. It is who I am. The thing that I remember the most about my father, and I had him for 32 years, and I never look at it from a negative sense. Obviously, he was murdered, and rarely do I get the chance to talk about him, But the thing that I do remember all the time, I think about him practically every day, is for a person like myself who live in the spotlight and is so critical, from people all the time in terms of what I do, what I say, where I go. The thing he's always said, take a pause before you make a decision and say, what if? And the purpose for saying what if is that whatever decision you make, always either going to have consequences. Either pros and cons.
No, but you obviously listened to your father because in the very beginning, you spoke about being humble, not shouting about who you are and what you've done, and just being within yourself.
Sure.
And a lot of kids growing up may start that way because of their parents, but don't end up that way.
Right.
You ended up that way.
Well, once again, it's not just my father. My mother calls me practically every day, reiterating, keep your nose clean. She ends the conversation of every time I hang up, as opposed to me, hey, obviously we say, I love you, Mom, can't wait to see you, talk to you soon, blah, blah, blah. The last word is keep your nose clean. That's her constant reminder to say, hey, look, people are watching. People are learning, people are paying attention. And, the best news in today that sells is negative news.
That's what other reporters want.
I know. And not that I live in a box to where I'm afraid to do things. I know that, as my father says, the what if comment is to be able to deal with the consequences of what decisions you make. And you think about that. If you think about the consequences, pro or con, you make the right decisions that you feel is the right decision. Now, all the decisions I made, other people may view to be not the right decisions from their perspective. But for me to go play baseball, and everybody says, oh, it was a failed opportunity to play baseball. That's what they think. For me, it was the best thing that could have happened for me because it allowed me to go back to the game with a stronger passion. People don't see that, and people will never understand that to be success. All they think about, well, he batted .202, and he struck out a certain number of times. Yeah, okay. But the effort was there, and the learning curve and the passion was there that has transcended not just to me, but to other people who are afraid to do things because they're worried about the perception that may come from other places. To me, that's more gratifying than anything, So that's the things that my father and my mother instilled in me. Take a negative and turn it into a positive. Don't be afraid to fail. My dedication to the game of basketball, unwaveringly, dedication day in and day out, and how I hold being the leader of the team, being the one that's been there for the longest. I hold everybody else accountable for the success of what happened at the end of the year. But if you love something and your agenda is to be successful and to win, it's a certain price you have to pay and it's a certain accountability you have to hold.
One day you might look up and see me playing the game at 50. Oh, don't laugh. Don't. Never say never. Because limits, like fears, are often just an illusion. Thank you very much.